How's it going, boys and girls? Data 782 here with a little tutorial on how to maximize your line chemistry in NHL 20 franchise mode. Got some requests for this on my last tutorial on maximizing scouting, so I decided let's try it out. I took a random team here, the Colorado Avalanche. I've done lots and lots of research because I'm pretty confused on it myself, but I'm going to show you how to maximize this team's chemistry and make it perform to the best of its abilities. So right away you come in and you see, okay, what am I working with? I have a +5. Now the +5 is because I got the magical trinity here. I got a power forward, look at player type on the right side, or you can go R3 and look at player type here. Power forward, playmaker, sniper. Now not only are they power forward, playmaker, and sniper, but if you look on the right side, look at line fit with the check marks. I have 5 green check marks, 5 green check marks, and 3 green check marks, 1 yellow, and 1 red. If you want to get a +5 between the 3 players, you can't have more than 1 red X, maybe 2 red X's if you're really lucky. But this 1 red X, let's say if McKinnon also had 1 red X, I'm pretty sure this line would be a +3. Now, a +3 is not a bad thing. I'd rather keep this line together and have a +3 than like if I had to put JT Compher up here to make it a +5. I'd rather keep Mikko Rantanen as the 90 and get the +3. But you do what you think is best for your team. Anyways, I have a +5 on this first line. Second line, there's a -1. Here's a couple red X's. There's 1 red X, another couple red X's. That's 5 red X's between these 3 guys. There's a -1. Here's a 0. Here's a 0. Defense, I have a 0 +1 0. Cale Makar. Now, okay, his line fit. He has an X on the first pair. He has an X on the second pair, and he's 2 yellow in the third pair, but he's my best defenseman. So, okay, that's already raising some red flags right there. There's a lot of people who don't seem to fit the lineup here, so I say, okay, the franchise mode gods have given me a coach when I begin my franchise mode. Let's go look at my coach. My coach here, this guy Robinson, he's B overall. I go look at his team fit. His team fit, okay, it's 64%. And he loves McKinnon, he loves Rantanen, he likes Landeskog, he likes Donskoy, whatever. But if you look at Cale Makar, he doesn't like him enough for my liking. I'd like my best players to be loved. I don't care about Kaut and Nieto and Graves getting huge things as much as I care about Makar, Kadri, Johnson, Burakovsky, etc. So to be honest, simply because Makar doesn't really fit the defensive lines, I think I'd rather fire this coach and go get somebody else. And you keep someone as an interim head coach for a couple seconds. Mathieu Aubin, this guy 57, no, so I wouldn't want to keep him either. So I go to hire coach. You may get lucky and you find a great coach right away, but what you want to do is find a coach who doesn't necessarily have to be a great rating. See, this guy, his teaching specialty was goalies, so he doesn't have to have a great rating. He just has to have a good team fit. Of course, good team fit plus good rating is the holy grail, but they will grow in their rating over time. 58, 58, 64, 65, 65 right here. He really likes the lower guys, though. I don't care as much if you like Matt Calvert and JT Compher. I care more if you like my top guys. Plus, look at the top right there. Style, physical. Don't really want that. I want forwards or balanced, something like that. 63%. I like this guy, Yves Robida, because he likes McKinnon, Rantanen, Kadri, Makar a bit more, it seems, than the other guys. That's odd here, Robinson, because he didn't really like McKinnon or Rantanen very much. I think it was his assistant coaches who were pumping him up. Maybe even Silas Paul's guy to go for. Silas Paul. Now that's a cool biblical reference. Silas Paul. McKinnon and Rantanen, Landeskog, Makar are all very highly rated. Donskoy is high up there. And these guys who aren't rated very well, whatever, Kamenev, Girard, Graves, I could trade those guys. I'd rather trade those guys for guys who fit my coach's scheme. So I say, okay, I want to make you my head coach. I'm playing with owner mode off. I'm playing with Fog of War off, so you can just offer him as much money as you want. Give him $1 million and an extra little $20K to go buy himself a nice new Suzuki Grand Vitara. And then you say, okay, I got to just simulate a couple days here. Forget about the preseason. It doesn't matter. You can just go straight through that. And you say, okay, I just want my coach to sign on. Thank you for the generous financial compensation. No problem. Okay, now I go back to my lines and I want to maximize with this coach. Oh no, I lost the +3 because now I have 2 red X's. No problem, you can work it out. Mikko Rantanen, his line fit, he's best on the first line. McKinnon, he's best on the first line. Landeskog, he's best on the first line as well. But like we said, it's not the end of the world if you can't get a +5. Now I could make some trades to try and get different players for the first line. Maybe I'll do that later on, but we'll put that on the back burner for a second, the +5 on the first line. Look at the defense right now. Cale Makar, now he has good line fit on the first pair. He has 2 green check marks. Now speaking of check marks, it's very important to refer to this graph right here. It comes from Reddit on the NHL Franchise Mode subreddit. bmarsh92, thank you for the permission to use this chart. Look at this right here. Your coach always has different strategies for his carry dump, his cycle shoot, his energy efficiency, etc. So if the coach says dump, for example, on carry dump, and my player also says dump, perfect, that's a green check mark. But if my player says balanced, that's a yellow, just a dash. But if my player says carry when my coach says dump, now that is a red X. So if we go back to the first line here, Nate McKinnon has a red X here. He fits everything. He's green, 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 yellow, but just his offensive strategy doesn't fit very well. That's the hard one to get because you can't really anticipate what the offensive strategy is going to be. You can look at a player and look at his preferred strategies and his player preferences and whatever, but you can't look at offensive strategy. So that's why it's sometimes a shot in the dark and the system is a bit broken. So anyways, going back here, Cale Makar is an offensive defenseman. This is where player types come into play. I want to pair as much as possible offensive defenseman with defensive defenseman. Ian Cole is a defensive defenseman. I have not tried this yet, but Cale Makar and Ian Cole should be a +5. Perfect. +5. Ian Cole, Cale Makar, +5. Samuel Girard is an offensive defenseman, but he has dash and negative. If he had green-green, he would be a +5 with Nikita Zadorov. Maybe Ryan Graves up here would do better? No, it wouldn't. So Eric Johnson is a two-way D. If I were to make if I were to make Eric Johnson a offensive defenseman and pair him with Zadorov, a defensive defenseman, this line would be a +5. So I'm going to go do that right now. You have to play with your player types to get the proper chemistry. So you go to the league, then you go over to edit player, and then you're going to scroll down to Eric Johnson right here. He is a two-way D. I'm going to go into his player profile. I press on details whenever this this forsaken menu screen wants to load. You go to details, and I go to offensive defenseman. While I'm here, actually, the same thing applies for two-way forwards. If I have a forward coach or a balanced coach, no matter what I do, a two-way D or a two-way forward will never be on a +5 line, maybe not even a +3 line. So I'm going to go ahead right now and change Nazem Kadri to maybe a sniper or a playmaker. He's a good centerman who scores goals. So you know what? Why not? I'm going to make him into a playmaker because I can get some good sniping wingers perhaps. So you just want to make sure that you have no two-way forwards, either through trades or through changing up your player types. I don't find it to be a scam because it doesn't make sense. If Patrice Bergeron's a two-way forward and he's one of the best offensive players in the league, why can't I get a +5 with him if I were to play him with Pastrnak and Marchand? It doesn't really make sense with the two-way forward bias. So I'm going to go through all my two-way forwards and make sure that there are none left. Tyson Jost, I think he used to be a sniper in NHL, so I'll keep him as a sniper. Keep on going. Jonas Donskoy, I'll make him into a playmaker. Pretty much you just want to have snipers, playmakers, and power forwards. So I'm going to go ahead. Actually, is he a big boy? I don't know. I'll make him a playmaker, actually. You just want to have those three styles in your top 6. In your bottom 6, however, you want more of those grinder-type players to get +5s in the bottom, but we'll talk a little bit more about that after. All right, so that is done. I've changed all my players who were two-way forwards or whatever. This guy Kamenev's not going to play. Kaut's not going to play, so don't need to bother with those guys. You can also do do chemistry for the AHL with the AHL coach and all that, that's a whole nother half hour that will take to figure it all out. Okay, so right away, see, here's a +1. Kadri has a playmaker. There's a sniper. Who is the power forward here? I made JT Compher into a power forward, but he doesn't fit on the line. So anyway, it's going to defense. Like I said, Eric Johnson with Zadorov now gives it a +5. Gerard is green-red, and Graves is yellow-red. So I need to trade both these guys pretty much if I want to keep them on my team and try to get a +5, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes if I want to keep this coach. I could hire and fire coaches forever, keep taking guesses, but you're never. It's going to be very, very rare that you say, oh, just because I work hard, I'm going to get +5s everywhere. Not really. Sometimes it just doesn't work out with the coaches that you have available. Maybe deeper in the franchise mode you can do that, but at first it's pretty tough, and that's what I'm showing you here, how to do it at first. However, if this was deep into a franchise mode, you could say, okay, I want to search all the coaches and do a lot more research, and that's where this chart comes back into play when you are looking at coaches and looking at player preferences. But now we are at a bit of a roadblock here because we have already maximized whatever our players can do. So this is where the pro scouts come into play. I go to player search. I want a better second line winger. So I say I want a second line winger. Kadri is a playmaker. Burakovsky's a sniper. I want a good, let's say, power forward second liner. So I search second line power forward, and I get, okay, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, whatever. But I need to go here. I need to look at Pro Scout Assessment. Now, with Fog of War off, this is a blessing because it won't take you months to scout people, and you won't be taking shots in the dark. Now, it says Coach Anthony Robinson. My coach is Paul Silas, so you don't need to worry about that. So this guy fits on my fourth line. I'm not going to trade for Brady Tkachuk to play him on my fourth line. Matthew Tkachuk, all penalty kill lines. Landeskog I already have. Ryan Getzlaf, don't know enough about him. Anthony Mantha, he fits on forward line 2. Okay, remember that. None, penalty kill, forward line 2, penalty kill, forward line 2, forward line 1. Penalty kill, forward line 3. Okay, so I look through all these guys and I say, okay, there's a bunch of guys who fit. It looked like the best ones were Anthony Mantha or Evander Kane. I'm going to go ahead and take Anthony Mantha because he also fits all penalty kill lines. Now, in this franchise mode, I'm just doing this for chemistry. I have no problem trading all my prospects, all my picks. It doesn't matter to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and acquire Anthony Mantha, and I'll throw him in my lineup. But then you come and look at Anthony Mantha and you see that he has 2 red X's with the cycle shoot bias and the offensive strategy. So that's a bit of a buzz because they really lie to you sometimes. But in the meanwhile, Matt Nieto being changed to a sniper, Compher as a power forward, and Donskoy as a playmaker gives the third line a +5, all because of player type. So that's good to know at least. But this second line is a bit of a buzz because you could trade for someone and then they could just lie to you and say, oh, no, by the way, I don't fit the lineup. So that is where you will start to pull your hair out as you say, but my pro scout said that he would fit. Well, EA says a lot of things and they always seem to pull back their words. So don't worry about that. It's totally normal to trade for someone and then find out that they don't fit the lineup. So just go back. They said Evander Kane also fit the lineup. Sadly, I can't look at his cycle shoot bias and all those things from here. So I'm just going to go ahead and trade for Evander Kane and try to plug him into my lineup and see what happens when I do that. So Evander Kane, he's yellow, yellow, green, yellow, X on this lineup. So it's not the best playing sniper, playmaker, power forward. That's the magic combo, but it's not giving me the pluses, unfortunately, because of the red X's. So I wish, as always, I knew all this. The player preference with balance, all that. But it says that he fits best on the third line, actually, even though my Pro Scout told me second line. So again, once again, I have been lied to. So I could put Evander Kane on my third line. I don't really have a centerman, though, so that wouldn't make a lot of sense. Evander Kane could play center on that line, but once again, I'm still met with my problem on the second line when it comes to who is going to play there. So then once again, you continue to reevaluate. Okay, Andre Burakovsky, he doesn't seem to maybe fit this team. I'm going to trade him. Unfavored coach, Paul Silas. His name is Paul Silas. Why does it say S. Paul? Whatever. So maybe I go ahead and trade him. JT Compher, he fit on the third line like this. So maybe I'll trade Evander Kane and Andre Burakovsky and get 2 better players for the second line. I don't know. Kadri's a playmaker, I could change him into a sniper. Let me go continue to work on that. And at the same time, I need to trade Ryan Graves and Samuel Girard for 2 better bottom pair Ds. So let me just go through the player search and find some people who might fit. Here's something that you love to see when you're looking for a player. Fits all forward lines, all power play lines, all penalty kill lines. Not just someone who fits forward line 1 and then maybe you're being lied to. So it's great to find someone like that. But still, there's a possibility that they might not. Alright, so after a lot of painstaking work, this is what I've come up with. So obviously in year number 1, like I said, you have to take some concessions. I would love to have a +5 on the first line, but I'd have to find a different coach. And it doesn't seem like there is a coach who loves my top players and the rest of my players. It seems to me a pretty balanced approach. So I have the +3 in the first line. Unfortunately, the offensive strategy X's don't help out. Second line is Calvert, Nylander, and Smith. So I traded for these players because they had the green check marks. So they're, even though Nylander has 1 red X and Riley Smith has 1 yellow, Matt Calvert also has an X, which keeps it at a +3 instead of it being a +5. But make note, power forward, playmaker, sniper. Then over here, sniper, playmaker, sniper. Then down on the third line, playmaker, sniper, power forward. Fourth line, sniper, playmaker, power forward. Because of the red X right here, we don't get the +5. But if I were to change Matt Calvert into a power forward, would it be a +5? Here's the experiment. So you can't just get a player who is a power forward and try to slot him into the second line. You need to get a player who fits on the second line and then change him into a power forward or whatever else you need. So it's a very delicate system. It takes a lot of trial and error, especially if you don't have a good pro scout like mine seems to be, where I had to do experiments for a very long time. So still +3. So that means that even though I have the power forward, playmaker, sniper combo, it's because of the red X right here. My coach wants to cycle, Nylander wants to shoot, and there's nothing that's going to change that no matter what I do. I'd have to trade him for someone else, and that's another big process right there. I traded Kadri because he didn't really fit the system no matter what, and I could obviously trade like Bowen Byram and 2 first-round picks for a great second liner to fit in here, but I'm trying to keep it a bit realistic. Third line here, Tom Wilson is going to be your best friend because he is a grinder who you change to a power forward. He fits this third line very well. He is an 84 overall, and he will do great for you on almost with any coach. JT Compher, even though he's only a 79 overall, he has a lot of check marks. Same for Jonas Donskoy, so +5 on the third line, and then on the fourth line, Nieto, Paquette, and James Neal, because there are some good check marks here. Fourth line, really hard to get a +5. You could go grinder, 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 depending on your coach, and get a +5 in your entire bottom 6 even. But that's another case. Defense, we go +5, +5, +1, because I tried literally 4 or 5 different defensemen, and none of them were better than checkmark X. So Matt Benning was dash, dash, yellow, yellow there. So we get the +1. So anyways, I also keep Matt Calvert on the second line to demonstrate that you don't need an 86 overall +3. You could put Matt Calvert here. You could put, I could put a 77 overall with McKinnon and Rantanen instead of Landeskog, and that guy would score 70 points for 3 seasons, go to free agency as an 80 overall, and be asking for $8 million, and then go somewhere else and be terrible on that contract. So it's really, you got to keep your core together. Your coach has to like your core, and you have to work around that. Like Matt Calvert, once he got, let's say he wanted a big contract one day, I'd go sign somebody else who fit the system. So it's really tough. There's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of experimentation. There's a lot of breaking your head trying to figure out the X's. Here's that chart once again that I was talking about. Very important to keep note of this with will someone get a green or not. If you get too many yellows, it's not going to work out. More than a couple reds, it's not going to work out. You want greens as much as possible. If your coach wants energy, for example, and your coach and your player is balanced, then it's going to be yellow. If your coach says hold line and your defenseman says pinch, then it's going to be red, and nothing you do is going to change that. So you're going to have to change coaches before, if you want anything to change. And then, of course, you can't forget about your special teams. So on the power play here, usually if you go snipers, playmakers, and then 2 offensive defensemen at the point, you'll get a +5. However, Landeskog doesn't really fit the system being a power forward. I'm not going to change him from being a power forward just to get a +5 on the power play, because then I'd lose the +3 on the first line. So I will keep him like that. I get a +3 here, I get a +3 here. On the second unit, I go playmaker, playmaker, sniper, power forward, offensive defenseman. If I had another offensive defenseman, I'd put him here, but I only have 3, so I can't. +3, not going to sneeze as that. 4-man power play, +1. Now the penalty kill. Now that is an issue in and of itself. This is where you really have to trust only the check marks, pretty much. Now, if I have I'd rather have a 290 overalls and a -1 than 282s with a +1, but obviously use that at your own discretion. And you don't be afraid to double use people as well. Look, Cale Makar here, he has the check mark. Eric Johnson does not have the check mark. You know what? I'm going to put Cale Makar on both units here because that's going to give it the plus. Now, of course, you got to be aware that if Cale Makar gets a penalty, he's not going to be on the penalty kill and someone else will be filling in. But that's something that you can do if you want to give that a try. William Nylander. Where's Nate McKinnon, you may say? Well, let's see if he fits the line. He does. Okay, so never trust best lines, because best lines are just going to give you whatever they want, and that's not going to be good. So I usually sort by defense, all my forwards by defense. Mikko Rantanen is a good defensive forward, so let's say I want to slot him in. He gets a dash, so I'll go ahead and keep him. This first unit is a checkmark, 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 dash. Tom Wilson, William Nylander is a plus. If I were to put him here, he's out of position. It's really, really delicate on the power play. Zadorov has a X right there, so maybe I put in Ian Cole. He also has an X. You just got to keep going through everybody until you find someone who fits. There's a check mark. So it's 0-0, but I'm happy. I'll take McKinnon, Wilson, try to balance it out there. Nylander, Rantanen. I'll take the zeros here, even though I can't necessarily get a plus. But you could definitely get a +5 if you are going the way of having all forwards, all grinders, and two-way forwards, and you don't have an offensive coach and stuff like that. Then you could definitely just fill your penalty kill with two-way forwards, power forwards, and grinders. You could get a +3, you could get a +5. If you want to see more about +3s and +5s on penalty kills and things like that, look at my franchise modes where I actually go and do that. But for this example right here in this video, I'm on an offensive team without much of that because I'm just trying to exploit the offensive coach. 3-man penalty again is also a mess. You get -3s on both right there. No matter what you do, like look at this, checkmark, checkmark, X, and I get a -3. Cale Makar, even up here, Cale Makar, it's a -1. I have 3 check marks, but I still have a -1. So you really can, and then these guys are all 3 X's, and I get -3. So you really can't win sometimes with the 3-man penalty kill. That is just an enigma in itself. I don't even know how to describe that. It is beyond a mystery. Look at that. I get checkmark, checkmark, X, and it's still a -3. So I literally don't even concern myself with 3-man penalty kill. It's a scam, and it's garbage. I have Grubauer in nets, backed up by Francouz. Injuries are off. We're going +3, 3-5-3, and 5-5-1. Now let's experiment and run through this season. Now, I didn't do this season without the pluses, but after I do it, we're gonna go back in time and we're gonna run a simulation just as if I hadn't touched anything. So we're gonna go to the end of the season and see what our record is and what the point totals are with all those pluses, especially on the penalty kill. If you've seen my Anaheim Ducks franchise mode where I had Cale Makar, who won, listen to this, 15 straight James Norris trophies, 15 consecutive James Norris trophies for Cale Makar. And he was on +5 deep pair and a +5 penalty kill for about 20 straight seasons. And he won all those. He scored well over 1,000 points. So that's an example of chemistry being used for you. So like I said, if you want more in-depth information, check out my franchise modes. But without further ado, let's sim through this season. All right, so it was a decent season here in Colorado. We went 41, 37, and 4, 86 points. Didn't make the playoffs. 41 wins, not making the playoffs is a bit of a tough one to swallow, but whatever. So here are the points here. First liners, of course, Nathan MacKinnon, 87 points. We had Landeskog, who didn't do much at 55, and Rantanen got 70. Cale Makar is the real hero here, with 72 points on the top D pair. Only 85 overall, went up to an 87. So really, that shows you how much the power play also helps, as he had 14 power play points. Rantanen 70. Riley Smith, as an 84, got 57 points. Really, the plus minuses were terrible. James Neal, 33 points, only with 9 minutes a night. So there's a good example of only 9.5 minutes a night, scored 33 points. Actually, he had power play time as well. So without that, he would have had 20 points on the fourth line. Tom Wilson, 30 points. Negative 30, Eric Johnson. Wow. So this team was terrible defensively. We did okay in the points category. Matt Calvert, he had a lot of ice time. He scored only 22 points with 15 minutes a night. Ooh, boy. Was it the goalies that did us in? Yeah, goalies did us in big time. Both sub 900 save percentage and about 3+ goals against average. So goalies didn't help at all. A better goalie would have helped out the team for sure. That's why I say deeper in the franchise mode. It'll make a big difference. But that's it for the season. Now, when it comes time to draft your players, let's say I go to the draft class here, you have to keep note of what your coach likes. Go back to the chart like I mentioned earlier. So, here's all my created players from my NHL, my Honolulu Huskies custom franchise mode. So we go here, you got to look at what their tendencies are. It's the carry, dump, cycle, shoot, balance. So if we bring up this chart right here, if I just put this over the top, if we look at what my coach likes and what this guy has, my coach likes in the carry, dump category, he says carry. This guy is dump, therefore it's a red. Cycle, shoot, my guy likes to cycle. This guy says balanced, therefore it would be a yellow. And so on and so forth. So this guy I probably wouldn't draft. See, the scheme fit is very important. It's 4 bars. I can trust this evaluation. This one, it's 3 bars. I can't trust it as much, for example. So scouting is definitely important when you want to talk about line fit. I don't concern myself with it too much. I just draft whoever's best, and then I could just trade them if it doesn't work out. If they have the trade value and the potential, I'll just get somebody better. And with this coach being B- rated and having a bad season like I did defensively, I would definitely probably fire this guy, hire a better coach next season, make some trades, and continue rolling like that with my core remaining the same. But yeah, this was just a little experiment. Looking at our power play numbers, we were 20.3% on the power play, which is not bad, but definitely could have been a lot better. Had to do with our players as well, but not too bad. We were up there. We were up there for best power play. And then penalty kill being 79.6 wasn't one of the best. Yeah, we were in the same position right there. So I think that's it for the chemistry talks over here. To be honest, I find it's a bit overrated. Like, if I could take +5s everywhere, I would definitely take that. But look at, like, if I have to put an 80 with an 84 and an 85 to get a +3, when I could have had maybe, like, remember those guys I traded for earlier, Anthony Mantha or Evander Kane right here to play with Nylander and Smith, and it would be a +1. I'd rather take that than having Matt Calvert here, who didn't help my team at all on my second line. So be very aware of that. Just because the line chemistry is there doesn't make it the end-all be-all of lines. Same with my first line here. Although the rest of my team benefited, they didn't benefit as much from the +3. Maybe I'd want a coach that really gets a +5 on the first line, but my other lines are all +1, +1, +1. As long as my top line is a +5, I'd be happy. So you definitely have to be aware that is your job as the general manager, and I think that's all that I can offer in terms of advice here. Always remember that power forward, playmaker, sniper combo is very deadly. Remember about the chart of the greens, the yellows, the reds. And understand that there is a lot of trial and error. So don't feel bad if you trade for someone they don't fit. It's going to take a lot of head breaking. Like I said, I think it's a bit overrated. I would not kill myself to build a team for the last 2 hours like I did and then just have the season like I just had where I missed the playoffs. Like this third line having a +5. JT Compher, he only had 25 points and a -12. Like, was it really worth it? I don't think so. Whatever your coach says is gospel. If your coach says it, it is true. Hire a better coach if you don't like it. Remember to build around your core. Remember that you need to keep your core together because the people that go around them are going to come in and out. 2BC has a good video on chemistry as well if you want to check it out. 2BC Productions, 2BC. He did a Buffalo franchise mode where he had Jack Eichel with a bunch of random like 77 overall wingers, and they would score like 60 plus points. So that's also a good example. Unfortunately, here in Colorado, we didn't do super well. And to be honest, I think that if I simulated this without the chemistry, maybe I would have done even better. So let's see what the results of that experiment is. So here was our team to start with. I get that +5 on the first line. You absolutely love that. Then the second line is going to be, we could do Colin Wilson here, give it a +1. The third line is going to be a 0. And the fourth line is going to be a -1. Yep, that's what it's going to be. On defense, if Makar plays with Graves, gets a +3. And I think we're going to roll like that. Yeah, +1, +3. Eric Johnson, he's a two-way D, so that's the issue. But whatever, so we'll go +3, +1, +3. On special teams, power play has a +1 and a +3. So now we'll simulate this season with the lines like that and see what our results are. And at the end of the season, we have 36 wins, as we have a losing season going 36, 37, and 9. Now, can we say that the chemistry helped? Yes, we can say that the chemistry helped. All our top line here, they had a great season, but down here, Tyson Jost, -28. The rest of our players weren't too great. No one had really a good season, to be honest. What did I missed? Cale Makar. Where was he? Cale Makar scored 44 points. So it seems as though the Cale Makar +5 and the power play +3 was a huge help to him. Aside from that, the top line still did well, and the other line still didn't do that well. So what's the conclusion in all this? I believe that you should trust more in the players who are tried and true to simulate well. Like, I'd rather have a guy like Anthony Duclair, who simulates well all the time, have a 0 than have Jonas Donskoy with a +5. You gotta trust people who simulate well. Again, the goalies did even better this season. Still wasn't that great. Find yourself a good goalie. Trade for players who simulate well. You get the start. Ovechkin, Patrick Kane, Evgeny Malkin, Claude Giroux. So those guys who have high poise, we're going to go until they're 40 years old, scoring 70 points a season or whatever. So I really don't think that you need to kill yourself for chemistry. If you start up a franchise mode, you have a +5, you have a +1, you get a +3, you can move things around for a little bit to try and maximize it. That's great. But I literally spent 2 hours just to find out that all that work that I did, having a +3,353, gave me an extra 4 wins on the season. And Cale Makar scored extra points, but it ended up not really helping much anyways. Power play is where it's really important to think about it, but in your lineup, there's not a huge difference between a +3 and a +5 or a +1 and a +3, unless you're really like a powerhouse team and like you give that +5 to Ovechkin or something. So that's pretty much it. If you have any other thoughts, please let me know. Any questions, I'll do my best to answer it. But that was my little experiment on chemistry and how, to be honest, I don't think it's anything too special and you need to break your head over. But if you want to maximize it, follow the chart that I put up before. If you like franchise modes and you want to see more about how to go year in, year out, draft, free agency, and all those tips, then you should definitely check out my franchise mode series. I just finished up one on the Anaheim Ducks where I went all the way to 2044. And then I'm currently doing one with a custom fantasy draft franchise mode with the Honolulu Huskies. I'm in year 7 right now as I upload this. So thanks a lot for watching. Hopefully this made sense to you and didn't break your head too much. I did a lot of research. Looks like it really wasn't for much in the end, as it's just, you can just trust the basics. Maximize the power play, maximize your best players, and get a good coach that really fits everything in. So if this video was of any help to you, drop a like, drop a subscription, as I put out daily content, mostly of NHL, sprinkling in a little FIFA, other games coming your way soon in the coming weeks as well. If you want a tutorial on anything else to do with NHL 20, let me know and I will work on that as soon as possible. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.